Gonna tell you a little story about the Sugarhill Gang with the Pow Pow Boogie and the Big Bang Bang. Yes, you guys, the Sugarhill Gang, one of the biggest pioneers in hip hop. And if you like me, they are the pioneers of hip hop. But their story is so sad. And we will get into it on this week's episode of Nothing But the Truth.
Listen up! Listen up!
Live from Soul Deep Studio in Portland, Oregon, welcome to Nothing But the Truth with your host, Hakeem Rashad Muhammad.
I said a hip, hop, the hip it to the hip it, a hip hip, a hop, and you don't stop. The rocker do the bang bang boogie, say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. We all know that. That is the Sugarhill Gang's Rapper's Delight. And we all know the Sugarhill Gang. You got Wonder Mike, you got Big Bang Hank, and you got the baby of the bunch, Master G. Those three people are affectionately known forever to us as the Sugarhill Gang. And Sugarhill Records. I think that was the first act. Sugarhill Gang, Sugarhill Records. So let's start at the beginning. Sylvia Robinson. And if you're an old head, you know Sylvia Robinson as a singer from the late 60s to the early 70s. She had her biggest hit was titled Pillow Talk. And it was like actually a really sexy song with her like moaning all over it. So Sylvia Robinson married some dude. I should do the research and find out his name, but research that. She married a guy and they started Sugarhill Records. And she didn't have any idea of what to do with this label. So she goes out to a nightclub just hanging out and she sees a DJ on stage. We now know it as break mixing, but he's playing a record and he keeps making the part play over and over again before, like as soon as the lyrics are going to come back in, he starts another record with the same, we call that break mixing, keeping one section going for a while. So while that's happening, there's a guy on the microphone just rhyming all through it, and the crowd is just really responding, doing some call and response, say, hey, oh, all the old school hip hop stuff. She is mesmerized, like, wow, so for my fledgling record company, this is what I want. So she goes out to look for a rapper. She comes across, of all places, she goes to McDonald's, runs into Big Bang Hank, Henry Jackson. Henry, Big Bang Hank, is working at McDonald's. And she just happens to be talking about, where she came from, the club, and saw a rapper there. And he's like, I can rap. And she was like, really? Yeah. So Big Bang Hank starts rapping. And she is like, okay, feeling that. But what she doesn't know, and what we know now, is Big Bang Hank never wrote a lyric in his life. All the stuff Big Bang Hank said was all the stuff he heard at all the parties that he went to, and he just memorized everybody's lyrics. Worst of all, the worst case of that is Grandmaster Caz. Grandmaster Caz, aka Casanova Fly. So when you listen to Rapper's Delight, you will hear Big Bang, I'm the CAS and the OVA and the rest is FLY. Not even him. Casanova Fly, Grandmaster Caz. So she signs Big Bang Hank. And now, as he's rapping, Wonder Mike happens to come in. Hey, what's going on here? Oh, I can rap too. Word? Yeah, okay. Well, I'll get you guys. And as they're leaving, Wonder Mike, the baby of the bunch. Oh, what are you guys doing? We're going to do this little rap thing. Hey, can I be a part of it? Sure. 3 rappers go to the studio. Well, they didn't go to the studio that day. She said, okay, I'll get in touch with you guys. What she does is she goes to her recording studio. She has all these musicians. So what we would have done is find a nice hot record and sample it, record it, sample it, blah, blah, blah. Back then, they didn't have that technology. So what she did, she had a house band. She just told them to play one of the grooviest, funkiest disco hits out at the time. That just happened to be Good Times by Chic. And when she did this, didn't bother to ask Bernard Edwards or Nile Rodgers, just went and recorded their music. They played that song for 15 minutes straight, just in the studio, just playing the groove to Good Times. So next day, or maybe a couple of days later, she brings in the 3 rappers. They get in there. And this is the coolest thing ever. They never rehearsed with each other, and they probably did a little like game planning before they went in. But literally what happened, Wonder Mike went up, said a verse, passed it to Big Bank Hank. He said a verse, all stolen, of course. After he finished, he passed it to Master G, and they just did that for 15 minutes. And live recording, they did it in one take. They just went in, recorded Rapper's Delight, and it became a smash. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people give credit to the Sugarhill Gang for starting rap, and that is not the case. The first known recorded rap was called King Tim III by Fatback, so a lot of hip hop heads know that and they will correct you. But for the most part, for the general public, this is the first hip hop rap song we've ever heard, and we loved it. I mean, it played at all the discos. It was on the radio station. Sometimes the radio station played the whole 15-minute version of the song. You know, I think them dudes did like six verses a piece. Crazy. So that was the beginning of hip hop. And one of the reasons we call it hip hop is because of the way Wonder Mike started the song. I said a hip hop, the hibbit to the hibbity. So that's how that song started. Nowhere in that song do they say Rapper's Delight. So I remember hearing it and not knowing the name of it. But what everyone that I knew referred to that song is the hip hop song. So any other song that sounded like that to us was hip hop. So that's the origins on the West Coast. East Coast, you got a whole different story. But for us, it was Rapper's Delight, hip hop song, because that guy says a hip hop. Yeah, what's that hip hop song? So anything remotely rap was hip hop to us. So that is the Sugarhill Gang, and that's how we know them now. Wonder Mike, Master G, Big Bank Hank. So the Sugarhill Gang, they had a couple of follow-up songs. In the black community, in the hip-hop community, they were just as big, but overall, like as far as crossover success, nowhere near what Rapper's Delight was. Remember, they had Apache, Jump On It. They had Eighth Wonder, I said the dang. They had Rapper's Reprise, that's the one that's another one nobody knows the name of, but that's a jam, a jibbit, a jam, jippy, jam on. So they had a few other follow-up. Ooh, they did the collab with Furious 5, Showdown. Oh, that was actually one of my favorites. But nothing really blew up to the level of Rapper's Delight. So as far as like financial success, nah, not really. They like were not the stars that they would be in this day and age. They basically made minimum wage, if you want to even call it that. So that is the genesis of the Sugarhill Gang. So now, Sylvia Robinson ends up passing away in 2011. Rest in peace, Sylvia Robinson. Her son, Joey Robinson, inherits Sugarhill Records, and what he finds out is he now owns the rights to the name Sugarhill Gang. This fool gets two of his friends, since he owns the name Sugarhill Gang, and starts touring as the Sugarhill Gang. Don't contact any of the regular members or anything. So imagine they have to find out that the Sugarhill Gang is performing on all these places, and they are not even included. They don't even know about it. They see it on flyers and everything, Sugarhill Gang. And if you're like me, you see them, hey, Sugarhill Gang on such and such at 6 o'clock. Oh, cool. And then you turn it on. Who the hell are those three dudes? I have no idea who these three dudes are doing Rapper's Delight, rapping all the Sugarhill Gang lyrics. Not the Sugarhill Gang. Joey and a couple of his friends, but they're using the names too, like Wonder Mike and Master G. They're doing it word for word, and they're not even the people. Isn't that crazy? So imagine that. And imagine you're Grandmaster Caz on one of the biggest songs that ever, the biggest rap song of all time, has your lyrics on it, but nobody knows who you are. So that's another aspect of the story. Third aspect of the story is the fact that they never asked Nile Rodgers or Bernard Edwards from Chic for permission to use that song. Sued. Oh boy, did they get sued. But they got sued in the cool way you get sued. Like if you're a musician, you know what I'm talking about. Is Bernard and Cheek came to Sugar Hill Records and said, "Hey, use our song without permission," and they just worked out a deal for them to get paid royalties from the sales and the playing and all that kind of stuff. It worked out. They got a big chunk of it, but nothing really like they didn't get into a big huge fight. And if you're a musician, that's the best way to get sued. So you just go about your day, you pay the people, and it's all good. So there's that. So 2015, Joey Robinson passes away. And as I say his name, I realize Joey Robinson is Joe Robinson Jr. Sylvia's husband's name must have been Joe. Joe Sr., Joe Jr. Anyway, Joey passes away in 2015. This allows the Sugarhill Gang to reclaim all the stuff that was taken away from them. It's bittersweet because they are in their 60s, well, the remaining two. Big Bank passed away, and it's kind of a cool thing for them. They have like really no animosity. I would be furious, but they are kind of over the whole thing. They are making records. They are now back to the Sugarhill Gang. You can go find them on the internet, and they're doing like really cool stuff. And it was really weird, if I back up a little bit, that there were times where Joey's group had Wonder Mike and or Big Bank Hank at certain times. I would go, "Hey, isn't that Wonder Mike? Hey, isn't that Big Bank Hank?" Adding to my confusion to all that. But anyway, so now the remaining members have the name Sugarhill Gang. They have a third member whose name is Henry, by the way, doing the part of Big Bank Hank, and they're doing really well. What I'm saying is, I really wish the hip hop community would be kind of like the athlete community, where we would put money together just to take care of our pioneers, because the Sugar Hill Gang, they were done like the dirtiest of all, just because if it weren't for them, hip hop literally wouldn't be where it is. Say what you want about Sylvia Robinson and Joe, but they did start and create this genre that we both, or that we all know and love as hip hop. All right, so thank you guys for tuning in to Nothing But the Truth. See you next week.